Hello, and welcome to Immersive Spirits weekly podcast of high heels to happy feels. I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Natalie.
and this week we're going to be talking about ritual and what is a ritual, what's the role of ritual in spirituality, and it's been kind of connotated as a cult or a nasty word, and it's not. So we're going to get into a little discussion around that. But we're going to start with a quick definition of really what a ritual is. So, rituals are structured, they're repetitive actions, they are ceremonial, and they tend to hold symbolic meaning, right? They're often performed in like a specific sequence or a context. If you're looking at it from a symbolic meaning of what a ritual means, they often symbolize a deeper spiritual or existential truths and values. They make abstract concepts tangible because you're taking action on something. When you're looking at them from a traditional or cultural aspect, those are rituals are integral, right, to many of the different religious or spiritual traditions. They provide a sense of continuity, of community, history. So there's a lot of different things that are involved there, but they help establish that routine so that you're committed to that. I mean, even it's ritualistic to even go to church on Sunday, for example. So that's bringing apart that part of that community. And then lastly, it's emotional and psychological impact, right? And what that looks like. So they provide a sense of stability, these rituals do, and comfort because it's predictable structure. It's something you're sitting down with and you're practicing. And so it's got a repetitive nature to it. Huge benefit, which we'll talk about today as well, but what that does for you emotionally, what that does for you physically, and the ability to heal and release a lot of those energies. So, with that, let's start with our first question, which is what makes those rituals beneficial in spirituality?
So there is so many benefits to rituals and spirituality. Um, it's a focused and structured time. So once you decide to take up a ritual, it's really about practice and reflection and deepening your spiritual engagement through that ritual itself. So integrating all of your spiritual principles and values into your daily life, and it really
Mhm.
makes everything more present and actionable. So it brings that like you were talking about the things that are really kind of ethereal into a more tangible thing that we can engage with on a daily basis or whenever your ritual presences are. And also, when you create your rituals, there's often you're creating a space around those rituals. So whether you have a room in which you meditate or journal or the things we're going to go into later about the types, you have that sense of space. And when you walk into that space, it gives you that peace around the ritual. So it really enhances the sacredness and intention of the ritual as well as like the personal growth. So you're always going to be promoting your self-awareness around rituals and introspection because when you do rituals,
Right.
oftentimes like Christmas, when we're doing all the rituals around
Hmm.
Christmas, you're constantly thinking about um like caroling or the rituals that your
Yeah.
family created
Yeah.
around that as well. So that's a lot of personal growth and transformation. And it allows you to do that introspection of the year, the things that we just commonly do as a society
Uh-huh.
around those. So a lot of emotional well-being in there too. Processing difficult emotions during rituals. So, rituals are just super beneficial in spirituality, whether that is going to be communal spirituality or personal spirituality
Right.
or just things that you do that you don't even base in spirituality. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Absolutely
I
agree.
mentioned a couple of things about types.
Yep.
Uh, I'm trying to think of additional types. Can you think of additional types of rituals?
Well, I think when you talk about Christmas and just even the holidays in general, but celebrating birthdays, right? We've got this ritual of we've got the
Mhm.
amount of how old the person is and that amount of candles on the cake, or and all of those come from tradition, but they're rituals. I mean, that's something that we're practicing and we're putting into place. Prayer is a ritual, right? So for those that are praying or meditation or some of the other types that you were talking about, Those are all very, because it's something that you're putting into practice and is a consistent process all the time. And maybe it's a birthday, maybe it is the holidays, maybe it is prayer, meditation, or journaling or whatever, but it's all a ritual. It's not just, okay, I'm going to put this circle and I'm going to make space and there's going to be herbs and candles and crystals involved. Yes, that's a ritual too. But it's just how people need what each individual person needs in that space. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important because even when you're doing like the communal rituals of sacrament, or um, if you're like, I recently did a circle ritual to close the season with a circle of friends.
Yeah.
Um, but we did very specific things because that's part of how that circle celebrates the closing of Mabon. So it was an
Right.
autumn equinox thing, but it fostered the community. Like we had a big potluck and everybody brought food, and
Right.
it's the rituals that have been created around that type of an event, that festival, really.
Yes. It is. And it's we're gonna because we you mentioned personal and we've talked about personal and communal. We both have, and we've mentioned that. And we're focusing today because we really want people that listen to understand whether you live by yourself in the country and you are, just doing something for yourself, or whether you are in a group, whether it's a church community or a coven or something else specific. We're going to be focused more on that personal aspect than the communal. But you
Mhm.
brought up a really good point, right? Because with the personal, something that you said in there, design. That was it. It was is how you guys designed that for Maybon. Even though that was a communal event, there's some things that are behind it that it's all back to that intention and practice. So identifying what is the purpose, right? Why are we doing this? And what's our intention from this? And in this particular case, like with Mabon, an autumn equinox, as it's known as well, um, it's all about harvest and saying
Mhm.
goodbye to summer and saying hello to the harvest season and opening those things up for autumn equinox. So that's the intention behind that. But then you've also got, okay, how's that going to look? So you're being specific in how you design it. What am I bringing to this? What are we, is there a certain number of people? Is it a singular event? Are you creating a sacred or a special or a holy place for yourself to be sitting and doing those? And what's that look like in terms of, and we'll get into some of those tools and types. I know that's a big conversation for you and I both. Um,
Right.
but it's about how you're gonna design that moment because you are celebrating something, right? Even if it's celebrating it every day that you're celebrating yourself with journaling or meditation, it's a celebration. And then how you personalize it. What are you bringing to make it yours or to make it special to you? So it's a commemorative event so that every year as Mabon comes along, you know that the autumn leaves might be a part of it, that there's certain colors or candles or crystals or um if you're doing journaling, that there's a certain book that you use every morning and you're replacing or a certain kind of paper. I have a favorite pen. That's what I use. My particular pen is the one that I use and I just refill the ink. I don't know why, because it's not an expensive pen.
Right.
But
Right.
it's my ritual. That's what I use when I write my manifestations. It's what I use when I journal, all of those things. So it's making it personal to you, right?
Well, and in that design and in that personalization, even when you're doing the communal thing, like I don't often wear robes or cloaks or, those type of things. And
Hmm.
we don't always do potlucks, but like this one was special. So it
Right.
was apple strudel that I took because it's part of the harvest. The apples this season. So it was like an apple pear mix.
And I
And
forgot to ask you, was that a huge hit? Was it tasty?
oh yeah, no, everybody they loved it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yum.
yeah, it was
Yum.
super.
Sounds good.
And we often, don't wear robes or cloaks or anything like that, but it was kind of like a special, if you have one, bring it. And then it's like, well, what color should I wear? And so all of that personal design, and we were all there in different dress,
Uh-huh.
and but it meant something to us each because we each designed that part, but we brought it into the community with us. I designed the apple strudel. I brought it into the community with us. Um, we had chili because it happened to be on a colder night in Colorado. So I mean, it was just a really fantastic event and it was very well designed. And it while it was ritualistic, um, it was really individual and communal at the same time.
Yeah.
It was a great time. It was a great
Yeah.
time.
Because you each bring your own piece of that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's fun because thinking about what I'm doing right now, right? So running for Hop Queen, which is the queen of our Oktoberfest event here in Northwest Montana. And it's still very ritualistic. I mean, you think about where Oktoberfest started in the early 1800s and the wedding that was involved, but now you're wearing your drindle and how which side you tie your bow on. I mean, that's tradition and ritual. The fact, that I'm wearing the garland and the gentlemen are wearing lederhosen and but it's celebrated every year and it's part of a bigger celebration. But you're bringing your own individual
Festival.
touch to it. Yeah, it's a festival. So you're bringing your own individual take on it, right? What you wear, the how you represent yourself and the things that you do. Yes, it might all be part of a tradition and a costume with that tradition, but it's still yours and what you bring to it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know we're kind of mixing things up right now. Like we're talking about like very specific rituals and festivals and individual and communal. Communal is definitely communal. Like there are the standards, the way we practice, um, how things happen, and you have to bring your best self for the community. But in that community environment, like you're expected to wear a drindle. That's just, but it's your drindle to design, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And it's yours to accent and, what jewelry.
right.
Or, are you going to wear, I mean, I'm in Northwest Montana. Some of the gals will come and wear their cowboy boots with a drindle. Others are, wearing more traditional style apparel. I was volunteering and working one of the booths, so I had on my Skechers with white stockings. And,
That's a good point too. Yeah.
right. So you have to bring there's logic to what we all do, and you kind of go, okay, well, I'm going to be standing for 7 or 8 hours. Do I really want to be sporting really cute little heels right now? Not so much. And so, yeah, that's one of those things. But it's that communal aspect has something that ties it all together, so everybody is sharing in a commonality, but you are bringing your own little piece of yourself, your own spark of energy to that community.
So it will, and even when we go to Sunday service, so, everybody dresses very differently, and the band performs as everybody's coming into the the sanctuary. But we're all having coffee and having those conversations. We all get to design what we look like that day, but we know that we're there to worship and take part of everything that's happening around us. And
Exactly.
that's, it's all very communal. I you reminded me when you said the Skechers thing. Like when I do meditation, I could be in shorts, I could be in my yoga pants.
Oh, heck yeah.
And then if there's like something I'm really working on or trying to achieve, I have manifestation or, like not manifestation, meditation pants. And I'm like, I'm seriously going to do this. I'm going to sit down for like 45 minutes in my meditation pants.
Great, because they have something that is intentional with them. I
Right.
mean,
It
it's
is
all,
intention.
yeah,
Yes.
it's all around that intention. It's like these drive these conversations. It's like the amethyst I hold when I do readings. That is my stone. I will hold that amethyst every reading, and I always have some selenite in my lap, right, to protect my energy. That's just me. But everybody's got their own shtick, right, as to what works for you and when that best laid plan is. My pen for manifestations. So,
Yeah.
and
I,
I will
I
go find it. If I can't, if it's not right there with that book, I will go find that pen. I'll be like, where's my pen? Even though there's an exact same one of it in the binder. So if that one ever to run out of ink while we're traveling or, doing festivals or whatnot, but I still go back to the original.
well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have to not only intention it, but you have to believe in what you've intentioned it with.
Yeah. It's a part
So,
of it becomes part of your it's a repetitive process, right? Which ritual is. It's a repetitive process. And um and it means something to you for whatever reason. Wearing certain jewelry. I mean, men, women, it doesn't matter. However you identify, it doesn't matter. You've got certain things. This ring I've had on for what, 22, 23 years. It's a little loose these days with the weight loss. Not that I'm complaining, I can get that sized, but it's very special to me. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays there. Certain bracelets, certain earrings. We just it's
Yeah, yeah, like
it's not
that's
just
a,
your favorite things. They mean something. What's that?
well, that's a really good point too, because it's ritualistic, like when you're getting ready to go out on a date, or you're going dancing with your friends, or you're like, how do you dress? How do
Yeah,
you put your makeup on? What do you wear? What kind of jewelry do you wear? And I know people don't think about that as ritual, but it is a repetitive pattern of how you bring yourself to that
absolutely.
event. And
Mhm.
that becomes ritualistic. So ritual is such a broad term for so many different things.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because then you kind of laugh about it and say, oh, it's time to, I mean, I'll laugh once in a while if there's like a heavy makeup thing going on or whatever, and I'll be like, oops, time to get the village. This takes a village, and off we go, right? But it's a ritual. I guarantee you most women have a process about how they put on their face cream, when the
Mhm.
makeup goes on, when the mascara goes on, when you dry your hair, when you brush your teeth. There's steps. And part of it is so you don't miss a step, but part of that is ritual. It is just, nope, this is next in line. This is next, right? This cream, and then the foundation or primer or whatever you're using. But it's all part of a process.
Well, and that's even referred to as your bedtime ritual.
It is. It's your bedtime
Like,
ritual. Wash your face,
it's
brush your
not so
teeth.
scary when you say it like that.
Yeah,
When you talk about covens and robes and those type of
right?
things, that makes it much more, that seems so out,
Occultish, right? And it's
right,
like,
occultish, yeah.
and it's just another practice. Your morning coffee. Oh, my morning ritual. Okay. It's a ritual. So it is. It is. They're all that way. And going back to the ones where it is the covens and the circles and all that, that just has a more special connection because now you're at that communal ritual versus your daily ritual. And you are, even if you're practicing solo, in whatever space you're celebrating, in whatever it is you're celebrating, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's all about creating that environment for you and making it sacred because it kind of I mean sacred is a word that's used a lot. We hear sacred space, we hear there's lots of different ways that it's used right now, but it is a place that's holy, that's special, that's specific for you and what your intentions are. All back to
Yep.
that
And
word intentions.
that same special thing happens when you go to church.
Yeah.
Like your pastor, preacher, whomever that is, holds space for people to come in and be able to worship the creator.
Yep.
So it's very purposeful, it's very intentional. So yeah, that sacred space is true. It's absolutely something that's special and part of the ritual.
Absolutely. Yes. And we all go to meditations where someone will hold space. Or
Mhm.
we hold space for people during certain events, right? So that because you're higher, you're holding space by keeping the vibrations high. And when you're in church or when you are at an event like that where there's song involved or choir or music or there's things that are going with it and there's steps, but it keeps the vibration high because it
Raising a
keeps it
vibration. Yep.
right. It keeps it celebratory. It keeps it intentionally uplifting, and it's all about raising your vibration. However
Yep.
you want to look at that. If it's your vibration with God, if it's your vibration with your higher, your higher self, with spirit, with source, they're all ways of getting that done.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and we talked about rituals. So, an important aspect of a ritual is something that is going to be repeatable. So, this is something that your morning ritual, your bedtime ritual,
Right.
however you're going to define that. So, you have your morning and even evening rituals, or maybe you have your seasonal and lunar rituals, which
Mm-hmm.
Immersive Spirit or Steph and I are that's a big thing that we practice is seasonal and lunar because that's we just feel tied to the
That's our
stars and
connection.
the seasons, and that's how we kind of watch the changes in our lives occur. So
Yep.
we have a lot of rituals that close things out, open things up, set new intentions, clear, declutter those spaces. And
Yes.
so those are very ritual timing things
Yes.
and
Agreed.
important.
Agreed. Even setting up like we have workshops coming up on our website.
Hmm.
Um, and those are free, and but we're putting them out there because their new moon intentions is one. And that's our way of kind of saying, okay, this lunar cycle, here's the things we're going to work on for myself. But you're writing it down, you're manifesting a bit, you are setting intentions.
Hmm.
It's a ritual. So that workshop becomes something where we're helping other people develop what ritual works for them. So, yeah, and those are exciting. That's tomorrow already that we're doing that one because the new moon's on Tuesday or Wednesday. Woohoo!
Can't believe oh my gosh.
I know.
This last month seems to have gone really super fast.
It
But we had a big seasonal change for autumnal. Like I also travel on the wheel of the year and it was kind of my new year opening just because of the way my seasons work. But like everything is happening so fast right now and we're going into ritual season.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas and
Halloween and
Halloween and
New Year's, right? For
like we are
just
hit heavy. And
always
couple
the end of the
birthdays
year
in
is
my
just like boom,
family.
boom, boom. You just go, okay, we've got holiday, holiday, holiday,
Birthday,
and
birthday, birthday.
birthday, birthdays. Yep, we
Holiday,
got
birthday, birthday, birthday.
yeah. So it's nonstop and then in February we go, oh, okay.
Which is why we do the manifesting live course in February.
Right.
Because we gotta we
Because
gotta get
breathe.
it behind everything else.
Right, exactly. And that's why those you'll see those. But agreed. But I think Natalie and I could talk all day
Clearly, because we've been
about
nonstop.
rituals and just the thing. I mean, we're both holding our beads even as we do things, right? And it's just kind of the thing. The thing.
Just who we are. It's
It's
ritual.
it's ritual. It's just who we are. But I think there's something else to think about with all of this, right? So going back to that personal and communal we've talked about a lot because we're go to that or you're having people with join you in a space. But if you're thinking about your spot, your place, it could be a spot on the couch that's your favorite spot to sit while you're journaling, whatever it is to you. It could be a room you have dedicated that has beautiful enshrines and candles and crystals and all of these things on the shelves and what some would refer
Meditation
to as
pillows on the
altars.
floor.
Exactly. So it's entirely everybody's is very personal, but we
Mhm.
do need to talk about, how you maintain that space because I think that's an important conversation. There, it's not that it's high maintenance because it's not, but it's a special spot for you. So as you're thinking about that, I guess the first few things that would come to me, your seasonal refresh.
Mhm.
So as you're going through the seasons, uh, it's a decluttering process, right? So it's all back to decluttering, right? Everything comes down to intention setting and decluttering. That's
It really does, but those are really important because when you're doing that seasonal reset, you are clearing and being like, what am I going to intentionally do?
right.
So it goes hand in hand on that seasonal refresh. Sorry, go on.
No, but it's true. And just thinking about that with our lunar cycles, you and I think about this in terms of new moon and full moon, which is
Mhm.
waxing and waning. So in that new moon time, when it's full moon, we're intention setting and all of that or I mean new moon. In full moon, we're totally releasing it all and we're burning it down, right? So we're taking all those papers and whatever we want to get rid of and literally burning it when we can.
Mhm.
Um, it's the same thing with your seasons. So as you think about those seasons, go, okay, what no longer serves me? What is it I need to release? What is it I need to let go of? Get rid of it. If it's items you can donate, donate them. If it's items that are something specific to you, a journal or whatever, I've got some that are from when I was in fifth grade and fourth grade, and those I'll hold on to just because they make you giggle. But anything current, I release it. I let it go. Um,
Well, and that's a good time to invite in all of the new stuff you've learned.
exactly.
The, yeah, your new inspirations. Like, we've been doing this for 30 years. We have a lot of old stuff that
Oh,
still resonates very deeply with us.
yeah.
But we also have the new things that are learning. Like, um, over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been getting into astrology. So we've been
Right.
really adding more of the Venus, Jupiter, those type of things, or Reiki for you.
Right. Becoming a master teacher. Yeah, that was a gigantic one. And it is, it's bringing in and making space for the new stuff. And there's room for all of it. There's room for everything, but when it comes to your physical space, there's not. Unless you've got a supersized house and lucky you with a ton of space in your own wing
I'm
that you
proud
can
of you.
just go for it. Yahoo. You're living my dream. But I don't I have my office space and I have that spot on the couch. I gotta say, I'm one of those too, because I do a lot of writing up from my spot on the couch. But it's my spot on the couch, and I have my books next to that spot. And so it's
Mhm.
I even have a little selenite statue next to that, sitting on that little counter because that's my spot. But yeah, it is. It's I agree. The new inspirations because you're making room because over the last season, over the last year, what have you learned? I mean, what have you developed? I mean, has your intuition really picked up? Has your love or dislove of a certain physical item that you're just like, well, I tried those. Wasn't my fan. Wasn't a fan, right? Maybe it's runes, cards, whatever, and you're like, not for me, or a deck doesn't resonate. If it really doesn't resonate, gift it. Let it go. Give it to somebody else. And make space for something that you will love and that's going to fill your heart with joy in your space. So,
So that's a good, okay, so you're bringing up a good point there too. Because I have gifted lots of things, um, but you really have to clean that.
oh
Like,
yeah.
like
Yes.
you gotta, well, and they have to be willing to receive it. You don't just give things to people who are like, you don't
Like,
give a tarot deck to somebody who thinks that's very occultish and is like scary, like
right.
doesn't want to talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? So cleaning that stuff before you gift it, or just cleaning your space in general, how would
Yes.
you go about that?
Yes. There's lots of ways. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I'll start with the obvious because I know I've got my sign for those that follow our daily readings that says go smudge yourself. It's a little sign and it's got a little feather, right? Which is it's an affirmation and thing too because it makes me giggle and it keeps me like, okay, did I smudge? And that doesn't mean sage necessarily. It can be Palo Santo, it could be cedar, it could be, but that's one way of cleansing your space and your tools. And your tools meaning your journal. Your tools could be, I kept this here so I could share it, but my own little, um, and I don't like the term book of shadows so much, but it's my own
I
book.
call it my recipe book.
It is. It's kind of what it is, right? It's writing down all the different chakras and meanings to me and all of that. But anyway, I get on
And
that
the
whole.
recipes that work and like little things like this,
Yeah.
because you set your intention. The one I really like to use, I have like 5 or 6 sound bowls laying around here,
Mm,
but it's not like a specific sound bowl that I use. It's if I'm working on my third eye, or if I'm working on my crown, or if I'm working on my heart.
because
If
different
if
hurts.
that's the intention that I want to push forward, the different
Yeah.
hurts, I'll
Yeah.
use that sound bowl to clear the space and to
Yeah.
set the space back into that area in which I want to work on
Yes,
that
absolutely.
however long I'm cleaning in between the periods.
Absolutely. And then incorporating for me, because I'm the crystal girl. I love them. And so after cleansing that space, resetting my crystals, but it's cleansing those crystals too. So whether I'm using moon energy, so during the full moon, putting those out, making sure it's gathering light or at least the energy, because I mean, I do live in Northwest Montana. Welcome to clouds in the winter. But it is it's clearing those, it's cleansing those, it's setting intention on those and then putting them back in my space so that my space is protected for me and setting that intention. But that's a monthly thing, obviously, because full moons are every month. Sometimes we get lucky and there's blue moons, but there's intention with that, and you're using your moon there, you're using the crystals. I mean, you could do a salt, throw some salt in the corners, but you can use the crystals to protect your property. You can use it's anything, but it's all about keeping that space clean for your new energy and refreshing that and staying on top of that. So if something negative feeling attaches itself to you, whether it's somebody's bad juju or, people are just mean or something was said that's hateful, it's not necessarily directed at you, right? That's something about that person they have to go reflect on. But do you want to take it into your space? Not so much. Not even my spot on the couch. I'm like, nope, nothing negative. Ain't here.
Yep, no doubt. Well, and not even necessarily negative energy. So when I'm just thinking back
Yeah.
to the sound bowl thing, I was working on a sacral thing last month this month I'm working a little more on my heart and compassion and building, but I need to clean out everything that I was working on last month. I mean, it was all positive intended. It was all good things
Right.
that I did, but I still need to make space. So
Right.
it's the intentionality. So even in cleansing rituals, it's kind of, very ritualistic because you are setting what you want to do next and you are intentionally getting that done. And putting that intention into your space is super powerful, whether you are using that space for journaling or meditation. So yeah, it's just an important part of the rituals that
Yeah,
go along with it.
I agree. And I mean, even visualizing it, right? So even
Mhm.
as we go through and do our grounding, as you're doing grounding, it's not that I'm legitimately tying an anchor to my feet and feeling myself grounded. I'm visualizing. And that is one way that I'm cleansing myself, right? So as you're cleansing your space, there's visual. It's not that you have to have a tool. You don't have to have smudging. You don't have to have crystals. You don't have to have anything like that. You have to have intent. And we're preaching, I feel like, around the intention and the cleaning, your decluttering. But that's what all of it is it's keeping it clean, and setting your intent as to, okay, what's this space doing for me this time? What are you doing for me this time? How am I pulling in the energy to make this space work for me so that I work for the universe and the universe works for me?
I it's really just keeping your spirituality boils down to keeping yourself in check.
Ugh,
Like keeping the stuff that you're done with, give it to somebody else with good energy
mhm.
and setting your intention on what you are trying to accomplish, whether that's, solar goals or whether that's some type of emotion you want to feel, but
Right?
really keeping yourself in check. And I think rituals force you to look at those things. So intention and decluttering is like the all around
Oh yeah.
spirituality,
It's
spirituality of it all.
it's the big
And
one.
when you smudge, open your window, like get some
Yes,
get some fresh air. I don't really care what I use anymore. Smoke to me smells like smoke. Like everything is just filled with smoke.
right.
Fresh air is really helpful for clearing space, especially when you intention that fresh air with, you know, bringing in your good intentions for that time period.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, especially, yeah, sage. If I'm using sage, it's like, oh, you guys having a pot festival in here? No, sage.
I did sweetgrass, which I know that's not a norm thing that
I
I
love
would use.
sweetgrass though. Mm.
I mean I do too, but and that's what I had, but it had this just the smell that it stuck around for a couple days. And sage is much worse, but I'm so used to again, we've been doing it a really long time, so I'm just
Right.
really used to the sage smell. And the sweetgrass hung around longer than I thought it would, but that's another topic. Um, so we've set our intentions. We've cleared, decluttered, we've
Right.
done all this cleaning. Now we need to put that in that space of what we want. So let's talk about what you should have in your space.
You go first. I've been yammering.
Okay, so I think the first thing are, of course, your tools, the things that you use. Like Stephanie said, she's big on crystals, but anything that's going to be meaningful,
Hmm.
especially for helping with that intention, because I don't have a lot of space here in my home. Um, so like I have to put things away and I have to get things out so it's a very intentional practice. But when I'm working on, like I said, moving through the heart chakra, I want to have things out that remind me of what I'm working on. So when I'm sitting at my desk working for the corporate job, which I love, except I have to travel next week all of a sudden. That's besides the point. Um, I can look up on my shelves and be like, okay, yep, I'm seeing the green jade stone. Now that may not represent a heart chakra for everybody, but it's something that it reminds me of, so it's meaningful. Or I have pictures of the family that I'll purposely place in
Hmm.
sight because it reminds me of the compassion and the love that I have in this world and how lucky I am. So it's a lot about gratitude. So it's like thinking about those things as you place them, or the herbs that you're going to practice with, or
Absolutely.
what have you.
Yep. Your favorite candles, colors,
Mm.
scents, incense, anything that makes you feel connected when you are setting your intent and wanting to be in this space. And I agree. Yeah, I've got my crystals. I've also got multiple decks of Oracle and a few tarot cards, but lots of oracle cards. Um, Lots of different smudging thing, piles of incense, candles and excuse me, sun catchers, all this, all the chakra tools for doing Reiki and that. I've got signs hanging in here. Some are about chakras, some are about new and full moon energy. It's whatever space you have to work with. But it could be as small as, like I said, you've got a designated spot in a living room that is your recliner, your chair. What can you do? Can you throw a particular pillow? Is there a throw rug? Some sort of rug that has those colors in it that make you feel like, yep, connected, just like that. It doesn't take a whole room. It doesn't take all that space, but it is bringing something personal. And I so agree about the pictures. I have photos of like you and I on bookshelves. I've got photos of all of us hanging around. For me, that's important. But
Mhm.
that's my family and my partner, pictures of him and my dogs, because it's my special space. And so it's, you think about in the song, and maybe it's because Oktoberfest is in my head too, but your favorite things. These are a few of my favorite things. My space is my favorite space. And when I'm in it, I feel surrounded by love. I feel empowered. And I have to go through and dust it off. And there are times I go through and go, okay, am I using this affirmation anymore? Throw it away. Or write or rewrite it in a way that works for me, right? That
Oh,
is,
that makes sense as you go forward. Yeah, because
yeah,
that's the other thing is a space has to be really flexible.
it
So when
does.
we're talking about like all of these times that we're approaching and decluttering and all of the things we've done to this point, so when do we really do it? So
Yeah,
when you feel it's necessary, like that intention is no longer aligning with where you want to go,
right.
you've got to let the stuff go that's related to that intention. Maybe you donate it, maybe it goes back in a closet because you don't have space for it right now, but someday again you'll work with it.
Yeah.
So when you're of course, when things don't feel like they're aligned anymore, you make that approach, but they're really like there's some routine maintenance that helps you stay on target with your own goals too. So like a weekly tidying, and that's just really organizing your space.
Hmm.
And that makes you kind of set like this is the intention I've been working with. Even if
Right.
you're journaling or meditating, that weekly tidying of your space when you're spending the time fluffing your pillows
Right.
or what have you, you can step back and be like, this is what I've been working on this week. Is it still relevant for me as you dust stuff off, you know?
Hmm. Yep. And I've done that as I've go through and dusting and, because it could be monthly. I am
Mhm.
not a great housekeeper, and I am incredibly grateful to a new service I have.
Lucky
But
you.
but they high level dust, right? And the fact is, I have in my space a lot of books and jars and jars of herbs and a whole stack of candles, and so there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'll go through that, and then once in a while, I'm going, okay, why did I keep this? And I have to open it up, read through it, and go, yep, nope, gone. But I've made space to buy more other stuff, right? To bring in there. But it's becomes a weekly what sits right around me in my space. A monthly, okay, I need to go through and dust everything off, make sure it's all clear. And what can I get rid of? And then, we talked earlier about seasonally. So seasonally is a really good time to be going through and reflecting as you're adding more seasonal items potentially. If there's something, if you're one of those that likes to decorate for Easter and Halloween and, we look at Beltane for us and Christmas. As you're doing that, are you going through and find anything that maybe was last year's model? That's a good opportunity to clean that up too, even if it's in a drawer someplace.
Well, yeah, and if you can't get too deep in the monthly, then doing it on a yearly basis. Like I mentioned, the wheel of the year, just passing the autumnal for me. But a lot of folks set New Year's resolutions, and it's a really good time to, again, check in with yourself, do those intentions, do that decluttering, take in those things that are new and exciting to you, and let go of the things that aren't.
Right.
Because when you hold space for things that, and there's so many keywords that doesn't no longer resonates with you, no longer. something that doesn't make you feel good anymore.
Right.
If I go through my clothes and I'm like, I haven't worn this in a year, I don't think it's cute. I don't think it's sexy. I don't feel good in it.
Nope. Doesn't bring me joy.
Let it go. I don't
Yeah.
care how much it cost you. I mean, maybe you bought a dress that you just loved and adored, and you keep it because of the way it used to make you feel, but it no longer makes you feel that way when you put it on. You should probably let it go.
Let it go. Yeah. I took,
Yep.
well, I told you this earlier. I've got a couple of days off next week from the day job, just to declutter. That is my whole intent is it's just like I'm over it. The weight loss has been beneficial because that means I've got a closet to clear, but a lot of that stuff I haven't worn in years anyway. And I have dresses I bought in Paris. It was a work trip, so don't want anybody to make it sound like I'm like, fly to Paris to go shopping because I don't.
Your
Um,
new service and her flights to Paris and
right, right,
who
yes.
are you? Are you
Please
my
join me as I go to Paris to do my annual fashion show.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
no, but these dresses, so legitimately, that was 2001. I have never worn them, and they are in my closet upstairs. I am going to try each one on this week. If they fit, I will see how I feel about them, but they may be gone. They were not expensive. I think I bought them at Harrods. They on sale when they were having like their big, semi-annual big giant sales that they have.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's time to let them go.
So there's that cute little meme, like if it fits, I sits. That's not true in these cases. If
No,
it fits, you got to make sure it fits the whole thing, like
it
your emotions, your intentions, your everything. If it doesn't, if you're not ready to let it go, then bag it and put it in a closet somewhere. If you don't wear it for another 6 months, then take that back to donation
right,
or what have you, or
right.
safe shelters or all of
I
that.
love if it fits, it sits. That's hysterical. But the
I
fact is,
do too.
does it can't just fit your body. It has to fit your soul. It has to fit your mind. It has to fit where you are in your life right now. And if it does not, bless and release. Thank you for your service and go to somebody else who will say, oh, this is my new joy, right? Because somebody
Right.
else is going to have that same experience that you had when you first had that, whatever it is in your life.
And that's great.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
The other really important part when you're doing all of this, whether you do it weekly or the big annual thing, is always give gratitude to the things that you have been using in your space.
Yes.
Because they made you well, they didn't make you who you are, but they helped remind you of your intentions and they helped you grow. Even if you're letting it go, make sure
Right.
that you're grateful for what they've done for you.
Yep.
It made you feel.
That's the whole bless and release. You served your purpose. I'm grateful. Thank you for what you've taught me or what I've learned from you, or learned from the experience about myself. And it's gone.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm pointing out gratitude because it bothers me a lot, even in things that I say when like we're doing an intention setting course or the annual or
Oh,
whatever. I'm always like, if it doesn't resonate, let it go.
yeah,
It's not that you need to have a little gratitude towards what it helped you with in your life.
I agree. I
So
agree.
bless and release is definitely a good way to say it.
Sorry, I'm looking outside, but I just had I'm grateful because all the deer are back and I mean they're
Oh,
here every day, but I just had like 4 or 5 of them cruise in the front yard and hi, probably waiting for apples. Uh, yeah. But the other thing about gratitude when you said that, it made me think of digital. And the reason it made me think is because gratitude is uh, it's everywhere. And I know I soapbox about hearing different terms at different times overused.
hmm.
Digital media, all of our socials, things like that. Oh, I'm practicing my gratitudes. I'm practicing oh, that one's running. I'm practicing my manifestation. I'm practicing, whatever it is. Don't think of it. Yes, we're all on social, and we'll talk about that too in just a second because I want to lead into that kind of question with you around practicing with digital. But don't just get stuck in the hashtags, right? Don't be stuck in those moments because we all do it and you find yourself, I mean, we have hashtags on all of our postings. We recognize that. And there's some days where it will say gratitude, but it will not say it every day. It just won't
Right.
because that may not be what we're seeing in that moment at that time. We're always grateful. We are always practicing gratitude. Um, which I think is Natalie's point, right? Which was your point on that whole thing is just, yes, be grateful for what you're cleansing and what you're letting go of, but don't 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 make it a cliche.
Yeah, and I think that's hard to not make it a cliche, especially for people who are really in this world with us in this spiritual realm, because declutter, gratitude, intention, manifestation, meditation, and journaling, those are all just keywords.
Every day.
It's just
Yeah.
and it really is. But the
Yeah.
for you, like you go to the for you page on a TikTok, or it gets so overwhelming. And I don't want to say that there's people who are scam artists, but some
But
of
their
them just make
intentions
me
aren't
feel,
true. Yeah.
they just make me feel scammy.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't mean any ill intent for anybody else who's out serving this space either, but it just feels sometimes really kind of overdone.
Right. A little insincere, like it's just so over the top. It's
Talk about something else. Like there is so much in spirituality that we all need to share and grow
right.
from.
Exactly.
It's not just
Exactly.
those things, which is horrible because, we have our, yeah, we have courses around those same things. So anyway, I'm sorry. Go
We
on.
do. No, and don't apologize for that because we do offer, we're creating our own manifestation course, which is, and we're creating, I mean, there's all these different pieces of content, but it's
Because they're
everybody,
important.
they're incredibly important, but they're things we do daily.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you have to, I don't know. I mean, we could get on another whole topic about social media, but
Well, yeah, everybody needs to become their best self. And
yes,
I
and
think
be
that
grateful.
everybody like us should serve in that vein.
Yes, I agree. How can we help you? It's not just, ooh, practice your gratitude.
Right.
Yes, you should be
There's so
doing
much.
that anyway. That should be like golden rule number one. Do unto others, be grateful. That's like from when you were little, you say thank you. When you say it, mean it. It's just be grateful. Be
Right.
grateful.
And I think so that right there, it just got under my skin. Like you said, when you're young, you got to say thank you. That's irritating because we are programmed to do it, even though
Right.
we mean it.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
That's the stuff we got to take back.
We
Anyway, we
gotta
could soapbox about that for a long time.
about programming. Oh my gosh, I know. But that's true. But it is taught that
Right.
you
It is.
say
It is
thank
because
you.
you
Yeah.
do have to teach gratitude because you have to, but we teach it in such a way that it's not true gratitude.
Right, because you just say thank you. Somebody
Because
does something and you say thanks, and are you really thanking him, or is that just the statement that follows what they just did?
that's the hashtag of it all. All right,
Yep.
move on.
All right. All right. So let's wrap that then with the digital conversation
All
because
right.
we all, okay, not we all, a lot of us use, I mean, we're doing a podcast. It's digital. We're on our laptops and microphones and lights, and this is all digital. I have an app that I love for meditate or for yoga. Do I use it all the time? No, but it's an app, right?
Mhm.
It's me, it's my personal time, and there's so many of us that practice solo. Um, on a lot of things. Some things are community driven, but much of it is solo.
Mhm.
So our communities that we're involved with, right, whether they're websites or apps on your phone or your iPad, um, different Zoom meetings you join, right, to be a part of something, whether it's a course that somebody's offering or even like what we're doing with the new moon, or I know some that do like the sacred space and they'll hold space for you, but it's digital. You're using some sort of digital device
Mhm.
or tool. So I want to make sure that we talk about how we practice with that. And what do you think about how we cleanse our digital tools? Because I don't think we talked about that.
So um it's a really good question, and I think it's going to be personal based on how you use your tools. So Steph and I are both psychic mediums. If you probably know that by now,
Mhm.
and definitely intuitives. So the way that I do that is I actually ask my spirit guides to like go through those connections. Like I of course I'm grateful for my phone. I'm grateful for my laptop.
Mhm.
I'm grateful for those things, and I'm grateful for those connections that I have to community, but I ask spirit guides to help me kind of bless those communities and bless those connections that keep me connected to that
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
which I know is maybe out there for some folks that are watching the podcast, but that's just part of it.
Right.
And I was thinking when you were talking about that, like the microphone I use, the lights that I use,
Hmm.
I maybe haven't been as cognizant of thinking of them as my tools, but they really are,
They're
because
cool.
to me this podcast is in service to this community, and I need to be a little more cognizant of being grateful for them.
Yeah. It is interesting how we just, when you log in, you're mad if something doesn't work, but we don't remember that every time it turns on, we go, oh, thanks.
Right. And
We
that's
log,
part of maybe I'm missing a
the
little bit.
software update's over. Woohoo! Look at these new things. Yay. Instead of, oh, there was a software update and it changed this stuff around, right? It's like,
Right. Well,
I'm
and
just
yeah,
grateful I have a phone. I'm grateful I have a laptop. And sometimes I forget to say that too.
well, and like when I was talking in general, I'm not talking to my spirit guides like bless the API channel, the
Yeah,
connection. I'm
right,
just blessing my connections to community. So
right, right. Yeah. We're not out there going, oh, bless, yeah, bless
that's
Zoom
the
for
web
creating the
service.
link. And we've got our, thanks for our website and all that. But yeah,
Thanks to whoever's hosting us today.
right. There are times though, I will honestly say things like, oh, thank you for putting the brain in whoever created this, because score. This is
Right.
awesome,
This is
right?
a
This is a
fantastic
great
tool.
tool. I love
Yeah.
this tool. And I will be like, thank you for giving the brainchild to whoever that did that, because I love it.
Well, and all the hard work and the project manager going over budget and the resource.
Right. And all the hours
Like
and
there's so much
scheduling and
growth
the
that can
plan and
happen.
implementing all of it, right? And getting it live. And just thank you. And thank you
Right.
for it not being glitchy when we're using it. Yay. There's always
Yay.
that too. So, but it's an interesting thing. We live in Zoom, you and I do, for our day job and for a lot of what we do because we are in Montana and Colorado. So it allows us an opportunity to share what we want to share with others or to help in however we can, right? The mentoring, the coaching, um, even
Reading
Reiki when I'm doing distant Reiki, uh, all those things. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
the readings. Yeah, just
Yeah, the readings. Yeah. Being able to do all those because we can, there's
on a
such,
global scale because of
yes,
our connections.
it's exactly what I was just thinking.
We're in
Because
like 8 countries.
I know. And that's amazing to me how fast that just happens and the vastness of the populations that you can talk to and reach. You can't do that when you're just doing that in your meeting people one on one. Their one on one can't be replaced. Do not get me wrong. There's nothing that can replace a human connection and just sitting and talking and being with somebody. But the
Yeah.
fact that we've opened this up to this capacity to have an entire digital experience and still be able to share in all this spirituality and the heady
And energy,
conversations and the energy, right? Sharing energy, right? Holding energy. I mean,
right?
being
For
able to,
somebody who's worldly, like it's
yeah,
amazing.
it is absolutely amazing that you can hold space. I mean, you
Mm.
can have a group of people on from all over the world and be holding space, and everyone feels it. Everyone resonates. Everyone knows because the intent is behind it. It's all around that intention. Boys and girls, we're back to intention. But that's what it is.
So how do we declutter our, that's a whole other, I don't,
Right? Well, I mean, the thing is, there's one thing that I have to do better, and sometimes you have to turn them off. The best and kindest thing you can do for your equipment is shut it down and
right.
let it rest because it needs to, or make sure you're running your updates, or clean it off, clean the keys, don't eat over your keyboard. I mean, little things, make sure it's clean. Mine sits by, I've got more selenite because yes, have we met? But there's a selenite, another one of the ones you gave me actually, the little spiral one.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, it's by my bedside upstairs, and my iPad and my iPhone sit there. Now, there are other crystals that can be used specifically for EMF, and I could talk about crystals all day long, but
And
there are,
EMF.
right. There's all the sorts of stones that you can use that you can actually even buy the pop things for on the back of your phone or different
Mhm.
crystals that you can use to set on top of it, to set on your laptop or whatever to kind of dispel some of those, uh, to kind of cleanse it up.
But it all goes back to intention because like my
Because
computer
yeah, if you don't
sit
believe,
next to my crystals and I haven't intented them for like this conversation is reminding me of how much work I really need to do when I really think I'm on top of it.
I know
But
if
don't exhaust yourself either. Like don't make this a chore, make it a
no,
ritual.
if it becomes just a task list for you, you're not going to enjoy it and you won't take part and you
Right.
won't be actively involved in your own space setting.
Okay.
And that
Yeah.
is key. So,
Yep.
yeah. Well, with that, since we had our last thing around
Oh,
the
wait, one
digital,
second.
oh,
Because we love you, Monica. Spaghetti. All right.
ah, tell me you didn't have any again this week.
Oh, actually, I didn't. I purposely didn't, but
Yep.
I was
That
like,
was
we're
kind of
not gonna have spaghetti in fear of what might happen with, yeah, the conversation topic. Who knew?
right. We got to have spaghetti in there. We wouldn't want to miss a week with that. So good stuff. Well, digitally coming to you from Immersive Spirit, we are High Heels to Happy Feels. I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Natalie.
and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. We will talk to you again next week. Thanks.